He's taking a pic.
I love it. Now, of course, lots to celebrate. It's been a big year. Ringo Starr, little Richard Starkey from Liverpool, turning 85. How do you relate to that boy from Liverpool? Do you still?
Oh yeah, you know, you grew up there, and I went through a lot in Liverpool. I went through a lot of joy, and I mean, you never forget that, and emotionally, it's still in you. You know, when you were a kid and little gang of you living in the neighborhood, and the school was just over there, St. Silas, and. But you know, we did end up when we got out, like 11-ish, that there's other things to do than go to school.
You figured that out early.
And you know, I have one great memory. It snowed in the night, and we used to have to, when we went to Dingle Vale, we could either take the roads or walk through the park. And we'd walk through the park, and we'd be the first people to tread on them and make footprints in the park. And still, what about school? Oh, well, we didn't have watches, but you know, that's what we do all day.
It was life.
You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
We'd take a few days off.
Yeah.
No, it was great.
It worked out.
It worked out, and you know, I became a musician there. You know, my stepdad got me the first kit of drums, and they were old drums. You know, I don't want old drums. I want new drums. That's how stupid I was, because these were great old drums. And I asked my grandfather to lend me the £36 to buy this new kit. And he said, "Oh, where do you think I'm getting the money from?" And then, you know, a day later, "All right, I'll lend it to you." And I bought the kit, and I'm working in a factory, and I paid him back £1 a week out of my wages. So 37 weeks, he got his money back.
You're on a payment plan. I love it.
Yeah.
You know, when people have a birthday, your average person, they reflect, they become introspective, they think about their wins, their regrets, their losses. When you have a journey as storied as yours has been, how do you reflect when a birthday comes around?
I don't do a lot of that, you know. I mean, it is another birthday, and I don't really like to read my age because no one does anything these days unless they mention your age, you know. And as I keep telling people, I'm 24 in here, so if you could start putting that. Yeah, it's, you know, the beat goes on, and you're here as long as you're here. And that sort of attitude I've got. And you know, I have a lot of great days, of course. Some days are miserable, and life is great. You know, if I look at like that, I have a great life. And it's a lot different than if I'd have stayed in Liverpool. You know, that's how it is.
And every year to celebrate, you have your annual Peace and Love birthday event. It's been happening since 2008.
Yeah.
Such a joyous occasion. I look forward to it every year. I put it in my calendar.
Yeah, yeah.
You ask people all around the world to pause at noon.
At noon.
Peace
That's
and love.
all.
You don't even need to say it, you can just think it.
Yeah, yeah.
As long as you have your moment of reflection, you have your moment of peace and love. So I guess when you take pause and you have that moment, what goes on in your mind, and how do you hope that people can carry that message on past July 7th?
Well, we know they do. And lately, watching TV and shows who have guests, they coming on going, you know, on the red carpet. So it's, you know, it's out there. And peace and love is what I'm supporting. And that's just how it is. And this came about by accident, as everybody knows by now, being interviewed in New York, and then the person said, "Well, what would you like your fans to get you for your birthday?" I said, "Get me?" No, you know, I think it'd be great if they went peace and love at noon. It just came, you know what I mean? It could have been anything, but this is what came, and this is what we're still supporting.
Yeah, and it stuck. You know, at the 2023 celebration, you told me, your quote was, your meaning of peace and love was that we don't harm each other and that there's no violence. In a recent AP interview, Bono of U2 actually said, and he mentioned you.
Oh.
Yeah, he said, Ringo, he flashes that peace sign and he means it.
Yeah.
He went on to say, the world has never been closer to a war in my lifetime. With things feeling so on edge, do you feel like the message of peace and love is so important now more than ever? Does it
No, I think it's
differently?
important every day. And, you know, right now the world is going through a madness, and, you know, maybe it'll help.
I love how he said that you flash it and you mean it.
Yeah.
It's July 7th at noon, peace and love. You can trace your journey to peace and love back to perhaps your trip to India in February 1968.
It actually came for me from San Francisco, where the hippies,
Interesting.
they were, you know, great peace and lovers. And then, of course, it changed.
Yeah.
But, and I found a picture the other day that the four of us are going. So I didn't invent it, I just picked it up, and, you know, John was a big proponent of peace and love, and it came to me and I'm doing it. That's what it is.
I mean, the reason I bring up the India trip is because you went there to meet the Maharishi and to study transcendental meditation, which you still practice.
I do. I did this morning.
Yeah. You've kept it with you.
But I have had years off. I mean, you know, it's not like since I met Maharishi I have meditated. I meditated for 2 or 3 years and then didn't. Meditated for a while and then didn't. This run from 1992, I've meditated every morning.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And what caused that change? Were you seeking peace, or did it find you at that time?
You know, you go round and you get back to where you should be. And I thought, I'm going to start meditating again.
Yeah.
You know.
Obviously works.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of crazy to me that, you know, that whirlwind of a period of time, what the four of you did was within a just under 8-year time span. And within that time, you all evolved as people so uniquely, and the music evolved in such a vast way. I mean, you listen to the 1962 records and 1970, it's just so vastly different. Is it wild to you, just the evolution that happened within that time?
Well, we were lads and we were changing, and actually the world was changing through the 60s. And, you know, so we got a lot of strength from that. And, you know, and in its own way, the odd drug changed the style. But that was just what was happening in our lives.
Yeah.
But, you know, we didn't get out of our minds and make music. We realized really early on, and I love this, what I'm going to say was that we were drinking cups of tea. The change was great last night when you're out of it, but not in the studio, because every time we sort of got a little high in the studio, we'd play and we'd, wow, God, yeah, man, wow, and we'd all go home with a little tape and we'd all come back the next morning, got to do it again.
Oh, really?
It's shit, absolute shit.
I bet you thought you sounded like fire. when you
No,
were
at the
doing all
time,
that.
you're like,
Yeah.
nothing like
Feeling the
this. And so then we'd get real, because we were very real when it came to music.
Yeah.
You know,
It showed.
supporting each other, like psychic. I knew he was going to go up a bit there, so I would do something. And yeah, a lot of the great moments in my life was in that studio with those 3 boys, my brothers. You know, for me, I'm an only child, 3 brothers, for God's sake. And we had rows, and we had laughter, you know. So, doesn't everybody?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Especially with 4 different varying minds. Nerdy question. You obviously don't spend as much time on streaming services as we do listening to your stuff, but there are so many varying mixes, right? There are 2009 mixes, there are
Yeah,
2015
yeah.
mixes. They just remixed everything for the Red and Blue compilations.
I like the remixes though, the remastering, because you can really hear the drums, you know, and when we started in the mono situation, if they had like this arrow that went, there's the red mark, and you know, the guys who ran that part, I mean, well, turn it up a bit. No, it's at the top. Okay, but we changed their minds later on.
Yeah.
But that's how we started. We're just incredible that we had made a record. And every time, we knew every time it'd come on because of the BBC, and it's like 11 minutes past 9, they're playing Love Me Do or whatever. And we're always in the same car, 4 of us, pull over and listen to it on the radio. It was like great, you know?
I like how you say the drums sound great, because in those new mixes the drums sound unbelievable.
Yeah.
The drums sound great. How do you like to consume music in general? Are you a CD guy, cassette, vinyl, streaming?
Well, I love vinyl. So it's where I came in, and it does have a warmth. You know, now people are doing mixes in the vinyl, and with AI, you know, the good news about AI is that, you know, on now and then, Peter Jackson pulled just John's voice out of a cassette, and you can hear him like he was in the room. It blew us all away. You know, Paul and I, who finished it 40 years later. Yeah, it was so great. So, you know, you wish that that's all they'd use it with, you know, AI for, but I'm afraid that's not going to happen. They're going to use it anywhere they can.
And it's interesting you mention Now and Then, because obviously recent Grammy winner.
I know how far out.
It's crazy, man. And I mean, the journey that went on from 77 with the original demo to 1995 with you, Paul and George in the studio, you know, trying to make it happen, didn't really work out. And then now, with Peter Jackson's help, being able to give it this new life.
Yeah.
Because of the long road that it took to get to that track, does the accolade of winning a Grammy feel any different?
Well, it's great.
Yeah.
No, the Grammy's great, you know, and we were a bit shocked, you know, even though we loved the track and that. Oh my God, they voted for us? Okay, you know, because there's a lot of good acts out there right now. So anyway, it's always nice. I'd like a couple more if you don't mind.
There you go. Well, let's talk about what could get you there. Look Up.
Look Up,
Up,
got
man.
me further than I'd been in a long time.
Number 1 on the
with my
UK
music.
official country album chart. Landed some great reviews.
Yeah.
T-Bone Burnett obviously presented you songs. You loved them. You added your spin. You added your touch. What does a song need for someone to present it to you and for you to connect with it?
Well, you know, out of the blue, in this hotel, Olivia was having a reading of a book, the book for George, and like 50 people, 50, 60. A lot of people we knew. Hey, how you know? Hey, what's going on? What are you doing? T-Bone, blah 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 blah. You know, I'm making EPs. If you had a song, you know, if you had a track, and you felt like sending it to me, that would be great. And he sent me a beautiful country song. And I did then get a couple of other people to write songs. I wrote a song, and we had an EP. But T-Bone came into LA, and I thought, oh, you know, Linda Perry did an EP on me. Maybe I'll ask him to do an EP, and we'll see. And he came, we're talking, and I don't know how. It's the magic of life.
Yeah.
He's talking about, well, you know, I've got a lot of songs, and I said, well, how many songs have you got? Like thinking he'd have a piece of paper or something, and he goes, 9. And he had them on the file, 9 songs. So I said, look, will you produce the album on me? He said, yeah. And that's how it started. And he put it all together in Nashville. Then he sent me the tracks, and I played drums. I gave it that other feel, which I give. And then I sang them all. and it worked a treat.
It did.
It did.
It did.
Great.
I'll tell you something you'll get a kick out of. My girlfriend and I were actually in the Look Up video, in the music video. We were in the human peace sign.
Oh yeah.
We
Okay.
saw where we spent a day in Calabasas for that video, and it came out great.
Yeah,
It's a great video. You know, with your latest work in particular, there's always an optimistic end to the story, right? You know, the clouds part, the sun comes out, happy day.
Yeah.
Why is optimism so important in your tunes?
Well, you know, I think I am an optimist, not a pessimist, and that's just how I am. You know, I just feel positive. You know, not every day. Some days catch up on you, and not all my life. You know, but you know, some of the things I knew I needed from when I heard at 13, it blows me away. At 13, in hospital, really ill, but to keep us busy in the boys' ward, the teacher came in with a little drums, maracas. I've told this story 1,000 times, triangles, and we got to play. But I went, and I wanted to be a drummer from that.
Connected.
You know, it was far out.
Yeah.
Oh man!
Yeah.
And look what happened. I did pretty good.
You did. And I mean, you're still rocking and rolling today. All-Stars are about to hit the road again. You love it, man. You're a band guy. You can't
I
get
do.
enough.
I love to play,
Yeah.
and I love to. You know, as the drummer, you need other people.
Yeah.
I mean, thank God I'm not like a guitarist. You know, I'd be out there with my guitar. Yeah.
Can you imagine if they'd handed you a guitar instead of drums back in the day? That would have been wild. Imagine the path of how things would have changed.
Well, we don't know, do we?
No,
You
thank
know?
goodness. You know, I've seen the All-Stars live at the Greek.
The All-Stars, yeah, we're getting together. We'll be on the road from the 7th of June and doing it all again. I'm only doing 12 gigs now, and then I do 12 gigs in September. You know, I used to do 30 odd gigs, but now that's too much.
Yeah, even what you're saying sounds like for your average person a lot. A couple of things struck me at the show. One being the age demographic there. You have every generation. You have 7-year-olds and you have 40-year-olds. You have everyone's singing the same lyrics. The second thing that struck me was the smiles on everyone's faces. No, seriously, man. Leaving the venue, everyone's just happy to be there.
I think my audience honestly have now understand that I love them, and I know they love me, and we're here to have a good time. And if only 3 of you turn up, we're still going to play. You know.
Do you still discover things about your own playing?
Yeah. I don't discover anything, but suddenly I can only tell what space I'm in by the fills, because I can play the regular rhythm patterns. Well, I can play 2/4s, and I can only play 3/4 or 4/4. And when George came up to me and said, "I've got this song, it's in 4/7 time," I said, "What are you telling me for? I have no idea what 7 time means." So here comes the song. So I had to work it out. Okay, got it. So that was a great day.
Yeah.
So I wait till it comes along, and then I do my best.
And what goes on through the brain when you're behind the kit? Is that are you feeling? Are you thinking? Is it muscle memory? But everything?
Well, I've done it so long now, but the thing, the timing, the regular just doing the rock or the shuffle or whatever, that's, I do that.
Yeah.
But if you sing the song and I'm playing, boom, donk, let's do that, double it up. No idea what I did. It's like I can't double any fill I do, and I actually can't actually do it again exactly the same next time. It's like something that goes on, and it's like, I like to say it's like I'm in a blackout. You know what I mean? I'm just like, whatever comes, it just comes at that moment because of my energy, in my heart rate, my emotional state. That's how it works.
And to wrap up, I recently purchased your book, Beats and Threads, which is a beautiful book, beautifully put together. Has in-depth specifications of some of your kits, high-resolution photos of some memorabilia and the
we
drums.
have to thank Gary a lot for that.
Yeah. But, you know, I thought this was interesting. You've released numerous books before. Photograph and Another Day in the Life are both photo books. And I love thrifting. I'll take any opportunity to go to a vintage store. And I found these. So these are both from 1964. And they're both photo books.
Oh, God, yeah.
Isn't that unreal?
See, I don't have this picture.
Isn't that unreal?
I'm showing it to you.
Isn't that unreal? But it struck me because I thought, you know, like, you've been, since 1964, sharing these images and sharing these moments with people. What is it about kind of capturing an image that you enjoy so much and then letting people see it?
Well, I mean, this came about because of this. We played Japan and they gave us all great cameras. And I can't look at that. Who took that one?
Isn't that crazy? No, that's a good question. But this
Was it one of the boys or the photographer?
My Beatle photo album by Ringo, Meet My Friends and Stars.
Okay.
But yeah.
As I say, I took the first selfie, you know.
I
That one
know,
of
I've
me
seen it.
in the mirror.
I've seen it. It's pretty surreal. But I just found it fascinating that, you know, since 64.
I'm still taking, I'm still got the cameras. Of course, you know, I've joined the world where mainly 90% of the photos are on my phone, you know, but the cameras on the phone now are so good. So sometimes I just force myself, get the camera out and spend the day with that and take whatever you're taking, you know, so.
And your fans love it.
You know, did you see that I put on my toes?
Was it the Get Back
with
DVD
Peace
or
and
something?
Love. Not the dogs, Ringo.
Hey man, you know
They
what?
all have something to say, you know. A lot of it is peace and love, but some of them like to shit on me.
No, come on. Yeah, well, you know, I think with things like that, it just shows that, you know, the audience is hungry for more Ringo content.
Yeah.
You know, it's cool that, you know, you're able to post something as goofy as that, and people resonate with it.
Yeah.
It has something to say. What's your relationship with social media? Are you always on it? Are you reading what the fans say?
No, I'm not into it. You know what I mean? I'm on it, and I check it, and I look at it, and I mean, 99% of the people who answer me are peace and loving. But there's always one, you know, and you've just not, I've got not to let that one get to me. He's got the right, they think that, you know.
Yeah.
It's not going to spoil my day.
No way.
No,
No
but I know
way.
people it does. Someone does something on the internet and they're like, oh God, you know, they said, so what?
Well, people will sometimes, you know, see a million nice comments and it's the one cruel one that will stick in
Yeah,
your
but
brain.
you can't let it live there.
No, I agree. Well, mark your calendars, July 7th, peace and love. Ringo, thank you.
All right, thank you, brother. Peace and
Appreciate
love.
it.
Are you ready for 7/7 at noon? Peace and love.
See you there.